Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei. Today is day number 17 of Daily December. I actually lied to you. The day that this video is uploaded is day number 17, but I'm recording this on the 16th because I feel like it. So, we're watching the Sandwich Lord and Kalen Wolfeei upload here, the MCC 35 watch party in the background. But we're going to be talking about newcomers, or rather, return comers, the non-canon players joining main MCC. Who would make sense for that? You know, we're just going to be looking at everyone besides most of Jingle Jam. I didn't include most of Jingle Jam. I'm sorry, okay. But it was a different type of event, so I didn't include it. But we're going to look at the newcomers that were added in past non-canon events and looking at whether they should join main event. The short answer is sure, but I don't know how likely it is. I have made a tier list, and I'll get into it now. Starting with this. The first tier in this tier list are the people who already made their way into the Canon MCC player pool. Now, if we look at the selection of people here, I think the first couple were JoJo and Blushy, then came Amy, then Becky. Shane technically is later. Becky, then Shane, then Michaela, then Gucky and Owen at the same time, I think. I think that's the order. Obviously, the order doesn't really matter now, but it kind of puts into perspective that the main, the majority of the people that were added very recently, as in the final event of Season 2B and the rest of Season 3, which does show that, hey, maybe the door has opened up for some of these people to make their way into the event, like someone like Eloise. Also, I already know that the next tier is Ethan Nestor, previously known as Crank Gameplays, who was announced for like MCC like 23, 24, something around that time. Then, while trying to play the event, got subbed out because of internet issues, I think, and then never signed up again. So, not sure what happened there. But, anyways, yeah, that was an interesting moment. We don't really know if Ethan Nestor counts as a non-canon or as a canon player now. I don't think so, because I have the Block Wars perspective on this. For newcomers, if someone is announced, that doesn't mean that they are no longer a newcomer if they sub out, like Tapple in the past, or like other people in the past. Either way, so there's been 8.5, I guess, people added to canon events from non-canon events in the past, some of them very recently. Next up, we're going to be looking at the tier that is up next, most likely to join MCC. Now, let me throw out a massive disclaimer that this is relative to other players. This does not mean that I think these people will be added to MCC soon. I think that if there's people that get added to MCC from non-canon events, these are the most likely candidates. And these are not in order, except for Eloise. I think Eloise is a very high, chance, or has a very high chance of being introduced to regular canon MCCs. And I think a lot of the other people in this tier would make sense with how the roster is currently built. Some of them make more sense than the other. For example, people like Heike Hate Me, I think would fit very well in the roster, just because they are probably one of the more familiar people across like all players who know Minecraft, because Ollie was a very relevant Minecraft streamer a little while ago, and someone like Misty would also be a very familiar person to a lot of people, because Misty is currently very relevant in the Minecraft scene, especially on YouTube. Or Harry, who's obviously a Yogscast member, I think. But then you also have someone like Sandwich Lord, who is very new to the event scene, and as much as some people will be familiar with him, a lot of people also won't be familiar with him. Or people like Creekcraft, who have been highly requested to be added from non-canon to canon events. He's actually the inspiration for this video. But still hasn't happened. And how many people does he know in the events? There's probably a good amount, but is it more than some other candidates that would maybe make more sense? Possibly, I'm not sure. Either way, these are the people that I think are most likely to be added. I'll mention every single one of them by profile picture in order. Starting with Super Eloise, then Oppo Kuna, Akko, Gracie, Heike Hate Me, Harry, Creekcraft, Max GG's, Mysticat, Olive Sleepy, Peace04, Sandwich Lord, and Zombie Cleo. I'm not sure if people like Cleo are even interested in main MCCs, or if they've expressed interest, or if they've talked about it at all. I know some of these people at least are interested for sure in playing, and that's why I added them to this tier. Next up, we have the maybe tier. Now, yet again, this one is a bit of a mixed bag. This one is still relative to the other non-canon players, but there's a little trick, I guess. Well, not a trick. There's a couple things, because you might be like, how is Masayoshi in the same tier as, like, insert, let's say Pyro Scythe. I love Pyro, but good comparison. And that is because I think, well, this is a mix of people who I know, or probably know, are interested in playing, but maybe don't make as much sense to be added as some of the people in the tier above, or people who I don't know if they're interested, but would make more sense than some of the people in the tier above, if that makes any sense. Like, I have no idea if, like, Ryan Higa or Masayoshi actually would like to play in the canon MCCs. If they would be interested, and Scott's aware, I'm sure they're going to get their chance to play. But are they interested? I have no idea, because I don't really, talk to John that often, and I don't know Ryan Higa, unfortunately. So, I don't know how likely it is for them to, have a chance of playing, or if they even want to. Then there's also people like Forcevit and Mid-Mystic from Lifesteal. I'm not sure if they're going to introduce Lifesteal audience to main MCC just yet. There's Boostfer, who's from the Manhunt scene, who I also don't know if they're going to grab people from. There's Laguno, who I personally would vouch for as a player to be added, but I don't know if he's on Scott's radar for newcomer editions, or if there's even a connection between them where Laguno could express his interest in further participating in MCCs. Then there's Masayoshi, who obviously played in Rivals, but I think that's because it was Rivals that it was more likely for him to be interested in playing. But I don't know if he would want to play regular MCCs from, him being in blockers. He does seem interested in Minecraft events. However, I don't think he's someone who would who would be a recurring player every single month, if that makes any sense. Then there's Maddie, Milkberry, and Pyro, who I think are in a relatively same tier and likelihood of joining MCC if they were to be given the opportunity. I think they are very fresh faces. I just don't really know if they are on Scott's radar either. And I think people like, the group of like Grace, Oppo, Akko, and Olive are a bit more likely to be grabbed from as a pool of players first before Scott goes to, the other teams from MCC Rising 2. Then there's Tanisha, who I think would also be a good addition. I think also, similarly to Laguna, would be nice to get representation from the community she's from. However, I don't know how likely it is for Scott to, pick someone from that group. There's Ravs, there's, I think, Sarah, and then Shadow. I'm not sure what their names are, all of them. That's the Yogscast people who played in Rising alongside Harry. I think Harry's the most likely person to be in just because of how actively he's making Minecraft content and how more involved he is, or how more connected he is with some of the players. But hey, if they want more Yogscast members, there's some of your picks. Then there's Ryan Higa, there's Abe, there's Rosary, there's Speed Silver, there's Sino or Sina, I don't really know what their name is, sorry. Whitebox and Exnestorio. Now, Ryan and Abe, I think, could potentially be interested in playing a canon MCC. I don't expect them to be regularly signing up. Rosary, I don't really know if she's on the radar, or I don't know what their pronouns are, if they're on the radar anymore, but I remember after Rising 1, I thought they would have been a good pick for a future event, especially for getting some more feminine representation in or female representation. I don't know. I don't know for sure. Representation in the freaking event. And then Speed Silver, they don't really need more really cracked players when there's other people that already have, I think, a better chance of being in. There's Sinor Sina, who I don't really know too well, but They're also on the Australian team. And Linku, I guess, could be on here as well. Then there's Wade Bucks, who I know is a community favorite, but I don't really know how likely that is for him to join as well. And then X Nestorio, who I really wanted to see get added to the event earlier in the year and like in the past. But nowadays, I mean, it'd be still very cool to see Nestor play, but there's other really good players that would make more sense. Okay, moving on. You have the doesn't seem interested tier, which is actually the final tier. After that, I'll talk about the other remaining players. Doesn't seem interested tier is, from what I can tell, seems like people are not interested in participating further than maybe non-canon events. BOO, Kier, and Dev, I think, have all publicly said that this would, they would just play their one event and not really play again. So they don't really seem interested. B-dubs might play more non-canon events, but I'm pretty sure Kier and Dev don't really care. Squishy, I'm not really sure if Squishy would want to play. I'm assuming for everyone past Dev on this board, I would assume that if they were interested in playing, they would have played more, is my guess. If they showed interest in playing, especially to Scott, I feel like Scott would have given them a second chance at least to play again. So I'm just assuming that they probably have not expressed interest in playing the canon events. So Squishy, Saikuno, Valkyrie, Laserbeam, Disguised Toast, Box, It's Timmy, Muselk, Jacksepticeye, James Marriott, James Marriott, Katamina or Miyang, and Janet or X Chocobars are all in that tier. No clue if they want to play. I'm assuming they probably don't. And then to continue, you have the remaining players who are on this tier list. I'm sure I'm missing some people who would have a good chance or maybe a decent chance relative. Oh, wait, Lily Pichu. I forgot about Lily Pichu. Relative to the players from non-canon events, maybe would have a decent chance of joining. I just don't really know them too well, or don't really know what their stance is on playing more, and I don't really know their connections, so I have no idea. I can't really comment on how likely it is for them to join. I'm just going to assume that if I'm not really too familiar with them, that maybe they wouldn't be the best pick for canon MCCs, or maybe I'm just missing something. Anyways, thank you all for watching. That was which non-canon players should join MCC. If you want my personal vouchers, I already said this is all based on my opinion, but my personal vouchers, I think Eloise would be a fun ad. I'll only pick a couple because I'm friends with most of the people, or I'm friends with like half the people at least in this tier list, probably. So, or in the top tiers, in the actual tier list, not the people below. Anyways, you got my point. I think Eloise would make a lot of sense. I think Ollie would be a pretty interesting addition. I think it would be a nice fresh face. Harry would be nice. Misty obviously would have my personal vouch, and I'll give Sandwich Lord. I think that's 5. I'll just keep it to 5. Yeah, Sandwich Lord would be a nice addition too. I would be cool with pretty much everyone who's in this dark green tier, because I think personally it would make the most sense for them to join, and I think it'd be nice if they joined. And most of the people in this tier as well, in the maybe tier, pretty much everyone as well, are people anyone on this tier list pretty much I'd be cool with. Anyways, besides the point, thank you for watching. See you all tomorrow for, hopefully, if I figure it out in time, my predictions for MCC Season 4. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.